Alrighty, hey everybody, welcome to yet another episode 1 of Weekly Collective. I'll address the elephant in the room, but not really. So this is a first episode of a new season. I'm going to call it Season 0 because this is the real deal. Some history. I'm actually, I'm publishing this to a few channels that we'd already published to in the past, like on Spotify and Apple Music. So there's a chance you're hearing this and you might have listened to the show in the past. And you've probably heard a couple other, episode 1s, episode 0s, whatever. But here's kind of the rundown. I did this show in the past. It's always been Weekly Collective. It's been a business podcast for the rest of us. The goal of it is for it to be just kind of a casual chat, but a relatable one that kind of your average day-to-day small business owner, startup, entrepreneur, whatever you want to call it, can listen to and find something that they, can relate to, as opposed to these other big shows that address what Google's doing in Q3 of 2026 and all these things that are just, they're interesting to listen to, but they don't help the people who are actively looking for a show to kind of help them navigate their day-to-day. So that's what the show is. That's what it's always been. The first round of shows did very well. We had a kind of a dedicated listener base, and we got some good reviews that people seemed to enjoy it. At some point, I just fell off. I can't remember exactly why, life, business, whatever happened. And it kind of went dormant for a while. And then semi-recently, I started it up again. All these shows are going to be available. They're not on the YouTube channel. I'll get into why that is in a bit. But you can find them on Apple Music and Spotify, I believe, stuff like that. So the relaunching of the show addressed the same kind of thing. It's what I'm talking about right now. And it was just, oh, sorry, stuff got in the way. Here I am again. And then life got crazy, crazy busy on the work side, which is a really good thing, and I look forward to talking about it. But that leads us to now. I gave all my focus to the actual work things that were happening, and went to town on those things. And now I'm at a point again where I freed up some time, and I feel like I could provide something of value that isn't necessarily forced. So pardon me for clearing my throat so much. I've been meaning to make this episode for several days now, but weeks prior, and I finally got the time and the setup to do it. So I plopped right down. I haven't prepped in any way really. I've got a short list of notes and an empty glass of water, so you'll have to bear with me. But yeah, that leads us to now. This is the real deal. This is a show that will be released every other week. It'll be released under our agency umbrella. Our company is called Valorosa. We are a full-service creative marketing agency in downtown Kansas City. So we do website design, graphic design, SEO, social media marketing, photography, videography, and everything in between. The reason I say the show will be released every other week is because we're doing this kind of alternating thing. We've got another show we're running. The first episode's already out. It's called Founders in Action. That is a video podcast. We'll always have a guest. They will almost always be somebody in Kansas City. It's not necessarily Kansas City based. It's going to kind of work out that way, but it's more of just a convenience thing because we're in Kansas City and people can swing by the studio and record. So 1 week, first week of the month, that will come out. Second week will be Weekly Collective. Third week will be Founders in Action. Fourth week will be Weekly Collective. It's possible, if these shows pick up, that they will get their own schedules. They'll be once a week, whatever it ends up being. We're just kind of going with the flow now, trying a bunch of things out, throwing it at the wall, seeing what sticks. But I did kind of casually mention the agency thing. So in this show, this episode really has no purpose. It's possible I will find myself down a rabbit hole, go off on a tangent like I do. It's also possible this will just be bringing everybody up to speed on kind of what I'm doing and we're doing and what to expect and all that good stuff. And I feel like it sets a good tone for a show because, you kind of want to know who you're taking advice from or who you're listening to see if it's worth putting any stock into, I guess. But yeah, I've personally done media marketing for, my line has been about 10 years full time, but I've used that line for several years, so who knows what the actual amount of time is now. But I've done website design and graphic design, and I learned how to do SEO and social media marketing, and I got into photography and videography, and it's kind of spiraled out from there. But it's always just been me doing it freelance. I did it under a banner of a company name, but it was just me doing it, and I would take on work just as myself, whatever. It was really just something to throw on invoices and a website for my portfolio. But fast forward quite a while later, I opened a co-working space in downtown Kansas City. So it's a brick and mortar office space. Startups, whatever it is, existing businesses, small and large, can come and rent anything from a drop-in desk where it's not a dedicated setup. They come, it's like Starbucks with no coffee, all the way up to multi-office suites and everything in between. And when I opened that, I kind of stopped messing with the media marketing stuff. This took my full attention, and boy, did it. And it went really well. Fast forward to more recent times, there was a global pandemic. I don't know if you guys know. It caused everybody in the co-working space to leave for one reason or another. A lot of them, their businesses just folded. A lot of them were kind of service-based businesses that the city, the state, whatever it was, said, hey, you can't operate these right now. And as a result, they came to me and said, hey, I don't have any money because I can't operate. I'm going to close down. I've kind of kept my eye on a couple of these that did rent from me, and a lot of their businesses did just close, and they're still closed to this day. Some of them went and operated out of their house or found a cheaper space or laid low and came back, whatever it was. What that meant for me was I saw everybody in my spaces leave, and I realized all of my eggs were in one basket, which was scary. So I had some other projects going at the time, and I won't go into that story. But I initially was going to partner with somebody who said, hey, I do freelance as well. I've kind of done freelance forever. I've reached a wall. I need some help to get over it. Looks like you need some help to get over yours. What if we collaborated? So we sat down and kind of rethought our models for our marketing and design stuff. And what ended up happening was it wasn't a good fit together. But I had kind of put in all this work, and I thought, I'm going to see this thing through. Let's try it, because I had always just kind of lazily branded my marketing company, and it was really just me, just again with a name on the invoices. And I thought this time, what if I really presented as an agency, as a multi-body company with more than one opinion, more than one set of skills, more than one viewpoint, whatever it is. And that's what I did. And I'll gladly sit down and tell that whole story out, and all the not that it's an exciting story, but just kind of how it developed, and the hiring mistakes, and how it ended up to this point, because some of it is interesting. It's boring, but it's interesting. Anyway, that's what happened. It's hard to tell a story without telling the whole story. But I hired some people and hired some more, and played catch up with money, and got it to the point where it is now, where we're kind of this big engine with several people just shoveling coal in the fire, and it's chugging along faster than any of us can really hold on, and that's really awesome and exciting. And that's where we're at now, and that's kind of what inspired me to restart this show. Was again previously this show would have been released under the Weekly Collective YouTube channel and all that good stuff. Well, now these are all going to be Valarosa shows. It's still Weekly Collective. It's just going to be under our company umbrella, and it's going to utilize all the tools we have for that. Less so in this show, but in the others. For example, the video studio. We've got a recording studio. We've got this neat equipment, these cool cameras, all this stuff. They're going to kind of develop. And that leads me, I guess, to another point of this is going to be officially labeled Season 0. I'm doing that because it stops my own decision paralysis, which I've talked about in previous episodes, and I'll talk about a million times. Sorry in advance. And what it does is it lets me just go ahead and do it. It lets me record an episode and say, screw it, I don't need the perfect intro song. I don't need to edit this out. I don't need to spend 6 hours playing with the EQ and making it perfect, because I can just release it, and every episode will get a little better, and I can kind of adjust things in real time with real-time input. So assuming people listen to this and enjoy it, somebody might say, hey, I really thought this episode was too long or too short, or you talked about this for too long, or I could, take a drink of water because it sounded awful or whatever it is. But it lets me just crank these things out. And I don't know how many episodes will be in a season. Who knows? My guess, we kind of talked about it internally, is through the rest of the year, it'll be season 0, and January 1st will be season 1. And hopefully by that point, with all these shows and some others we have planned, they'll all be at a more presentable place. And I'm going to accidentally reiterate it, think a few things a few times, just because I'm kind of spitballing here. I'm not going off any notes. Again, the show will remain Weekly Collective. You can find it on Spotify under Weekly Collective, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Anchor, all of those things. The only big difference is that the YouTube channel that these are released on will be the Valorosa one. I'll upload a video on the Weekly Collective YouTube channel just saying, hey, all these are going to be posted over here. I'll hang on to that channel just in case. At some point, stuff might get shifted around, but I spent a whole lot of time trying to decide how that should be handled, whether it should be on our channel or on individual channels, and I'm pretty confident in where we ended up with it all living on the Valorosa channel, and then the actual shows themselves will be on their own Spotify and Apple Music, but they will be produced by Valorosa. So depending on how those platforms work, you should be able to, on Apple Music, like click, tap on Valorosa and see the other things we're doing. I'm not sure. I haven't really tinkered with that too much, but again, that was part of why I just said season 0, let's do it, because otherwise I would obsess over that and make sure everything's perfect and interconnected and the websites are working and this and that. But yeah, and that's what this show's kind of intended to be, is just polite chaos, I guess. A lot of these shows will have some kind of rough topic. They might be questions from listeners, things like that. But the show was born from me not having a show I could listen to, which still doesn't solve my problem, but it gets everyone else a little closer, I guess. There are just no shows out there that are truly selfless, and I guess not that this one is either, but in that the conversation and everything it's geared toward, this show is not meant to sell you something. If somebody stumbles across this and decides I need to hire a marketing company and you call me, awesome. But I'm not, this isn't gearing up to get everyone to join a Facebook group and to sell them courses or, any of that stuff. And that's what it seems like a lot of these do. More power to them. They're doing their thing and they're, I guess, having success with it. But it's disheartening when you're just a business owner and you're just looking for something to listen to while you run or while you work, or when it's 2 a.m. and you're trying to focus or whatever it is, and all you can find are either shows that are, they're just trying to sell you junk, or they're hosted by people that you can verify if you dig that they don't do anything, they don't have any success, but they're teaching you about success, or they're just these business podcasts that are focusing on, again, the silly example I use is what Google's doing in Q3 of 2026, using just rattling off these terms and discussing these topics that nobody can relate to. It's not, it's not benefiting. There's no takeaway. You don't listen to these things and think, great, I can apply this to my struggles. And that's what Founders in Action is too, the other show. It's meant, all these shows are meant to be very relatable, of just, hey, you own this small business? Cool. Tell me what sucks about it. Tell me what you're struggling with right now. Oh, you don't know where to buy signage for your windows? Yeah, that sucks. What'd you do? Stuff like that. Obviously something with a little more substance, and some episodes will be more, I guess, advanced than others, but that's kind of the appeal, is that it'll over time be something for everyone, but definitely something that you can grab onto, and if my goal is for every episode to give everybody, one thing to take home. If I do just that, then it's been a success. But that's, I guess that's enough rambling on that. That's kind of where the show came from, where it's at now, the goal. I love the format of the show. If anybody has objections to it and says, oh, you should really have some more structure, things like that, let me know. I'd also love to know if there's other shows that are similar that you like to listen to, that that scratch the same itch, that are maybe, for just for my own kind of market research, I guess, but also for something for me to listen to, because I'd love to hear the format. I've got a list here, just a rough thing I jotted down of topic ideas. Introduction, hello, what the show's about, what happened to it, where to find it, and then I've just got random things here, and that's kind of what it's going to be. There's chances I'll hop on and just go wild about something that upset me that day, which is often. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for me, or a good thing or a bad thing for the show. But that's what you want to. You don't want to hear somebody talking about something they're forcing themselves to talk about. It's better to have some passion about it, even if it's this kind of Nick form of rage, passion. But yeah, that's I don't know where to go from here. I'm not going to end the show with nothing, so I'll kind of rant about what we're doing here. Our company is called Valorosa. We are a full-service creative agency. By full service, I mean we do pretty much anything and everything print and web. So there are some notable things we don't do currently. We don't do 3D animations. We don't do any kind of animations really besides, beautifying of videos and text overlays and things like that. We're certainly not making cartoons or anything like that. But the goal is for us to be a kind of a one-stop shop marketing company where somebody can come to us and obviously they can come with a specific goal in mind, but they can also come and say, hey, I need marketing. I need help. And we're not really, we can be, but we're not the ones you call when you say, hey, I need a logo. I want these colors. I want this graphic. Make it just like this. We're the company you come to when you say, hey, we are a yoga studio. We're kind of lost. What do we do? And we make them a front to back plan. They can execute just pieces of it. We're not absurdly expensive or anything like that. But it's like, hiring a 10-person marketing team. You get the 10 people's brains worth all in one. And, a lot of times what will happen is somebody will come to us and say, hey, I think we need SEO. It's winter's coming up. We need SEO. We need to sell these bikes by Christmas, whatever it is. And, well, we turn around and we say, oh, no, what you actually need is pay-per-click, whatever. And with this, you don't have a website. You need this redesigned. And, let's, create this to go, in conjunction with it. Things like that. We're a company that thinks, I guess. My background is in this kind of thing. I've done website design and everything related to it for 10 years or so full time, but this agency is coming up on about a year old. Like I said, right, kind of peak lockdown, the beginning of lockdown, whatever you want to call it. I'm really bad with timelines. I started it back up. I know I said I wasn't going to talk about this in detail, but I guess I am. I'll tell the whole story in kind of fast forward. I started it back up, and what I was doing then, it was hunt, kill, eat with clients. I was reaching out and on Facebook or whatever it is, finding a client, doing the work, getting paid, and then hunting again. And as a result of that, I didn't have ongoing clients. I didn't have retainer clients. So I was trying to figure out, gosh, how do I grow? How do I get past where I've always been? And I brought in an intern. That turned out to be a disaster. Not a disaster, a very casual disaster. Missed the first day, came in the second day, left early. Third day didn't show up. Fourth day came. Fifth day he quit. Something like that. I've reflected on that a lot, and there were some things, not some things that I should have done differently or that I did wrong, but in the context of it, he's an intern and he comes in and it's just me with a glass desk in the middle of the room, and I say, "Oh, welcome to the company." It probably didn't instill a lot of confidence. I maintain that, and this is so cocky of me to say, but any intern that works at our company is so lucky because I can say with just absolute confidence that they'll gain more here than they would from just about any other company that's going to throw them on the photocopier or whatever it is. I'm very loud, I'm very vocal, I'm very obnoxious when it comes to just kind of day to day. And every person in this office is so up to date on my latest, on every aspect of the business and my latest gripe, or gripes, more realistically. Because I I feel, I'm very realistic. I know that we've got a handful of interns here that are going to go do different things, whatever. And then I've got, designers and marketers and photo and video people and all these, these people that I know without a doubt, doesn't matter how great the company is, one day they'll leave to go do freelance. And I try to just kind of, I try to solve, I don't know, I try to prepare them as best as I can, even if they didn't ask for it. I try to, tell them about the things that clients do that upset me. I try to talk about the things where I goofed or we goofed or whatever it is. But he wasn't a fan. He, the last thing he did in the office was he went and took like a 45-minute phone call, about rockets. I guess they did model rockets, and he was really into that. And they had a rocket launch for tomorrow, which I didn't at the time realize that that would be during work day. And then he didn't come, and then it's fine. So that was really a struggle for me. It was really disheartening because I had no clue. That was the first guy I talked to, the first guy that was willing to come in, and I thought, oh my gosh, like this is gonna suck. I didn't have the money to just outright pay for somebody. It was kind of this compromise. And anyway, what happened was I eventually I started doing a little better. This all happened very quickly. And that was week 1, and then week 2 and week 3. These next things happened. I scraped together enough money, and I said, you know what, I'm going to hire a graphic designer. And I did. I posted on LinkedIn. I got a million and one invites. Hiring on LinkedIn is rough. It's also pretty rough on what's that other site? Indeed. I'll rant about that eventually, I'm sure. But found somebody that was a good fit. Brought them on. They occupied the intern's desk. It was just me and the intern sitting in this one room. More days would pass than not where she would have nothing to do. I don't know if I've been calling her an intern. She was an employee. But more days would pass than not when she would have nothing to do. And that made me super nervous. And I don't know why, because if I were that employee, I guess I'd wonder kind of what was up, but I'd be happy to just sit and do nothing and get paid for it. But eventually things kind of started to speed up a little bit. She had more of a workload. She had some issues with attendance, and I've learned some things from all this. Low pay will get you low, not low quality employees, because that's not right. Her work was great. But just a different caliber of employee with a different, and also these are the majority of the people that came in early were, fresh out of college, and they, had kind of a mindset to pair with it, whatever. Again, not ragging on any of these people. Very happy with a lot of these people's work, and very happy that they helped, get me and us to the next step. But had some issues with attendance, things like that. So what I did was I kind of gambled again, a stupid gamble, and I hired a second graphic designer, which was really dumb for monetary reasons, but also very dumb because I didn't have enough work for the first graphic designer. But that didn't stop me. And it was stressful. That was a bad idea in a lot of ways, but super necessary. It just would not have progressed if I didn't do that. And they, I made those paychecks every single time, totally fine. An insane amount of stress on me. But that stress kind of worked in my favor. And this isn't advice. This is bad advice. Probably don't do it this way. But that stress did, it forced me to work. It forced me to send out, cold emails and to network and really to make those sales. And it helped. We, moved to another office, a bigger space, and kind of started to expand our offerings. I was still doing a lot of the work myself. They were just graphic designers. We tried them out on web design, just WordPress stuff. Neither of them were a huge fan of doing that, so I just kind of kept on that myself, which was tricky because that was the bulk of our work, actually. It was really strange. We were getting a bunch of web design sales, and I was doing all the web design, and I was paying these 2 graphic designers, and they didn't have graphic design to do. We found work for them eventually. That was we tried everything. We tried a bunch of weird stuff like, hey, why don't you design this logo and then we'll send it to this person and ask them if they want to buy it. we'll mock this stuff up and see how that goes. It didn't go. Don't do that. But eventually I thought, oh, you know what I need? Because I guess what I was getting at was I was doing these web designs. So I couldn't focus on sales. I couldn't focus on customer service, which ended up being a big problem. So I posted on, again, LinkedIn, I think. LinkedIn or Facebook. I can't remember. I posted on all of these every time, but I don't remember which ones yielded which results. They were both worth doing and also not for different reasons, but you should do them. And I found a salesperson. The salesperson came in, and I kind of trained him on what I was doing, and that's when things really started to progress and go super well. Because, for one, I could focus on all my projects. I could focus on keeping customers happy. I could focus on sales when I could, and he was focused on sales full-time. It worked really well because he was willing to come in commission. He was a younger guy. He was a server at the time, not a fan of serving. He knew he wanted to be in business and sales and like really a 1 in a million find. But super, super glad I did. Again, all of these tiny pieces have come together to like be kind of the perfect storm, and I owe it, all of the success to each of these individual people and these things happening, because they kind of came around just at the right time. So with that, he had some friends who were also interested. He brought in another salesperson who he knew, and he brought in somebody who did design, and it just kind of spiraled out of control from there. One of the initial graphic designer gal, she left. She said things weren't working out with the company, with her, and I wasn't sure what that meant. That was following a day where she asked to work from home because her something, I don't know how much if like it's an HR violation for me to talk about things. She wanted to work from home for a reason that I didn't think was a good reason to work from home, and I told her no. She said, well, okay, send me some work to do, and I didn't. And then that night she quit, which is okay. So we were down to one graphic designer, which was fine because I was confident in this graphic designer. So fast forward a little longer, we moved to another office, like an actual office, like a big, it's actually where we are right now. And things progressed. Things were going super well. We hired a video guy to work on this big video contract we got. And then one day, the graphic designer didn't show up. And I kind of waited and looked at the window and thought, that's odd. She's never been late before. And I checked my Slack, and she had, quit. She got a job somewhere else. Awesome. Whatever. But now I had 0 graphic designers. And I think at this point we had a remote web designer. And we still have a remote web designer, and it works very, very well. But I was like, I have to do all this graphic design stuff. We had projects pending, whatever. So I kind of frantically got on Facebook and got on LinkedIn and got on Indeed and made these posts looking for another graphic designer. So what I did was I got 1 million inquiries like you do, and I hired 2 graphic designers. And I realized I will double up on every position until the end of time, because redundancy is super important, and you can't have somebody quit and it collapses everything. Obviously that problem solves itself eventually because now we've got 3 graphic designers, so it's it's become redundant on its own. There's been enough of a workload that we've needed to double and triple up on these positions, these people. But that it's hard to explain that to people who are just starting out when they've got $0. Oh, you have to hire these. It's tricky. And I can go into what I've learned about all this some other time, because I almost just caught myself down that path. Anyway, fast forward to today, we've got these kind of same core people, salespeople, the new designers. We've got photo, video, and we've got a new set of interns and social media, and somebody new starting next week, and myself and our remote designer and all that. A pretty kind of solid core group that all kind of, I hate to use terms and phrases like share the vision, or they love the company, because I don't really think any of that's true. They like the job, and they like what they get to do, and they like the people around them. But it took me a long time to realize that nobody else is going to care about your thing as much as you do at all. And I get reminded of it almost every day when I say, hey, I had this idea. What if we do this? And the responses you get are, oh, okay. It's nobody's going to get as enthusiastic and wide-eyed as you are, and that's okay. But it's really important that you learn that, because you're going to get your feelings hurt initially if you don't know that. You're going to be excited about something. You're going to, I got us a new this, I got us a new office, I got us this, whatever. And everyone's going to say, okay. And it's exactly like you would have responded, back in your days of working at wherever, Payless or Kmart. You're going to say, oh, yeah, okay. We're moving to a new store, all right, great. We got new shoe racks. Awesome, okay. But you can't take it personally. If you've got a group of people that show up every day and they smile at you and they say hi, that's all you can ask for. You want them to show up and do great work, and leave with a smile on their face a decent amount of the time, and that's what we've got here. And it's working very well. We've got a big chunk of retainer clients. That's your key. Starting your company, get retainers, get money you can count on. That's how you pay your bills. That's how you plan. That's how you that's your payroll. You don't want to hunt, kill, eat. Hunt, kill, eat is fine. It should be second to your retainers, and you should always be looking for retainers. Always be upselling people to retainers. Get them on some sort of, it doesn't have to be a contract. I don't like contracts, and none of my retainers are on contracts. I think your work should speak for itself, and you should demonstrate your value every single day, and these people should say, wow, this is awesome. I'm so glad that I paid you last month. I'd like to pay you again this month. But get these people, get a semi-predictable monthly income, and kind of go from there. You can have salesmen working on hunt, kill, eat, as long as they're working on retainer first, and you've got that in your back pocket. But anyway, that's kind of where we're at now. We're each day we advance a little more. Each day is slightly more stressful than the last in some ways, and less stressful in others. I've focused a lot. My day-to-day is on structure and procedure and planning, charting out everyone's day, everyone's week, our month, our upcoming month. This was a big one. We charted out all these shows and the planning for that for September. October, we've got something just super crazy cooking, which I'll talk about in the next episode, because I don't want to spoil it and leak it, because I think this episode will go live today, which is Monday. Flame me in the comments if the upload date for this isn't Monday the 27th, but I shouldn't have said that, because now it's just incentive to get it done. But we've got, some crazy stuff, actual crazy stuff coming up in October. We're full steam ahead in the best way possible. And it's wild. And I only talk about it like that. A lot of it is, work that was put in by the team and by me, and a lot of, lucky sales and things like that. But, it sounds really weird to attribute success to luck, but I do. I think a lot of it just happened at the right time, and I guess my kind of core takeaway for this would be, stuff won't. You can do everything right, and you won't get the outcome that you. I don't know if I should say expect or deserve. So I'll let you decide. But you can do everything right, and it won't turn out like that. Sometimes you're just unlucky. It's like something going viral. Like, you can make the funniest video in the world, the most shareable video in the world, the most relatable video in the world, and it, some algorithm might just not catch it, and it might sit at 10 views, and that might be it. It's, obviously I don't attribute it all to luck, but, don't get down if you've done something, if you've built something and it's perfect. If you built the perfect app, or that you make the most beautiful designs and, for the most reasonable prices or whatever it is, and there's a million and one different pieces of psychology that go into all that stuff. I know, I'm not downplaying it, but, a lack of success isn't always your fault. And I guess what I'm trying to get at here is you shouldn't give up if you're not finding success immediately. Step back and readjust and rethink things and retarget and relaunch and whatever it is. This show's a good example, and I'm not relaunching it because it didn't have success, because it actually did, just super casually well. The first shows, they were getting hundreds of views and listens, whatever, and I was really pleased with that. I liked it, but if you miss the mark or you slow down or you get lazy or whatever, don't take things as signs to quit. Sometimes the stars just haven't aligned yet, and you just got to keep going at it. And I say that only half serious because I'm not one of those guys that believes in fate and this and that and somebody helping you out that's up there, whatever it might be. I think it's largely what you do and the effort you put in, but don't take some struggle or whatever it is, stress as a sign that it's not meant to be or you won't succeed. You got to just kind of keep at it and try again, and some form of that. I'm getting rambly, I know, but my goal is really with this show to give somebody something, and that might be the something for this episode. So I'll hammer on it, into it, whatever. But there's and that's going to be the show. I'll talk about my failed projects and as much as I can about what we do wrong here, and usually I'll talk about it once we've learned how to correct it first. So we're not just discussing our greatest flaws, but and that would be another takeaway. This show's going to be obnoxious, is what it is. I've kind of decided it's going to be the know-it-all that just every chance he has, he tries to teach a life lesson, but that's what the show is. So I guess give me a pass. But it's, I don't know. I guess I don't need to be quite so preachy. It's just, let me see if I can provide you some value. Hopefully you get something out of it. Hopefully I get something out of it, and it helps me to talk through certain things and to get it out there and have it be open for discussion. That's something I don't struggle with, but I deal with, is that I don't have a lot of people that can relate to what I'm doing work-wise. And as a result, I just don't talk about some things, and that's the stress. I don't talk about the things that bother me because I don't want to talk to him about somebody who says, oh, that sucks, and that's your conversation, because that leaves you in a worse place than you were before. That makes you frustrated. So hopefully maybe the show ends up being just as much for me as it is for everyone else. We'll see. I'm sure it'll change in a million ways, and it'll hopefully end up somewhere enjoyable, listenable. On I don't know. Hopefully somebody likes it. That's pretty much all I got for this episode. I didn't even intend to kind of go into the backstory of all that. Glad I did, because it sets the tone and lets you know that I have some clue that I know what I'm talking about, maybe, or the things I'll complain about are coming from direct experience, and I'm not parroting what I've heard in another podcast. And that's true because I don't have any podcasts to listen to. But yeah, that's enough of this aimless rambling for now. Thank you guys so much for listening. This was episode, 01 of Weekly Collective. We'll find out in a little bit once I export this thing out and drop it into Anchor and force myself to give it something. But expect a little more structure moving forward. Maybe not. It's chaos. That's kind of what we do here. But thanks for listening regardless, and I'll talk to you, in 2 weeks, I guess. But again, in the meantime, we'll release Founders in Action, in between. So next Monday, there will be a new episode of Founders in Action, and after that will be Weekly Collective and some other shows sprinkled in. We've got some other cool ideas. We'll upload content to our YouTube channel, things like that, but there will be a core set of shows. We're all over. We're on Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff. But hang with us, bear with us. Watch, grow with us, see where we go, what happens, and hope to keep you along for the ride. Anyway, thank you guys, and talk to you soon.